Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to have been asked to bring you another devotional this morning. Well, the pandemic continues. The days and now weeks are going by. We're missing ever more our church family, our friends and family, our loved ones, and we're looking perhaps in hope each evening at the news to see what changes are coming about, what changes are being planned, what hopes there are for a lifting of the restrictions, a change in circumstances in which we can get together as a church family and with our own families. We're looking and hoping to return to some sort of normal, even a new normal in these difficult times. Well, no stranger to difficult times was the Apostle Paul, particularly as he's writing in 2 Corinthians 12. He writes here of this thorn that was given me in the flesh, a messenger of Satan to harass me. This was a thorn allowed to be put in the flesh of Paul by Satan to prevent Paul from becoming conceited, to humble Paul, to prevent him perhaps from starting to become conceited about his successes in the planting of the early churches. These fellowships were being planted by him and were flourishing, and to get round the possibility of him becoming conceited, this thorn was given him. He'd also received all these visions, so there was possibly the chance of him becoming conceited. God reminds Paul of his weakness through this, and how God's grace is shown in its fullness through the weakness or the powerlessness of his people, even of Paul, who throughout history so many people have rightly esteemed. Paul pleaded with God 3 times that this thorn be removed, but without success. As we consider our situation, our lives in this pandemic, we can't help but feel rather helpless, powerless in our own strength, as of course we are. We are completely dependent on God for everything at all times. All we can do otherwise is to follow the government guidelines, to watch the news broadcasts, and to hope for change. We're saddened that we're unable to partake of even our gatherings on Sunday, our gatherings to worship our God and love and encourage each other. What can we do in these times of lockdown? How can we be sustained in such difficult times? What biblical truths and promises of God can we stand on? Paul willingly acknowledged God's grace as enough for him, as God told him, "My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness." So as we remember our salvation, since it is through grace alone, through faith alone, through Christ alone, all to the glory of God alone, we accept we're saved by God's grace, his unmerited favour for us. So as we accept his grace is sufficient for us in any situation, now or at any time, no matter how difficult, and as we take joy in receiving God's grace and mercy, we can come empty-handed to the foot of the cross in prayer each day, giving thanks for our salvation. So then we can delight in our weakness and our deficiencies, so that God's grace may be shown to all people through us, but all to the glory of God, of course. Do we look forward to the end of this pandemic and a return to life as before? We certainly do. I certainly do. In these hard days, do we earnestly want to show the love of Christ to others and be his messengers of the gospel? Absolutely. Then we must shine. Let us be beacons of light in the dark world, showing through our whole lives our weakness made strong by the grace of God, that like Paul we might boast of our weakness, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. God's grace is sufficient for our need. He will pour out new grace and new mercy each day. So let us truly delight in fulfilling the chief purpose of mankind, as according to the Westminster Shorter Catechism. Let us glorify God and enjoy Him forever. Well, thanks for listening, and I sincerely look forward to seeing you in the flesh soon.